insight into how the Hardie-Ferodo 1000 strategy is developed by this particular racing team. Peter, I got to say, you lent a lot of color to your sport here, your deerstalker hat. The fact that you just got up and got out of the caravan and were taking a nap really floors me. Did you sleep well?
Yeah, very, very well.
He's something else. Car's in second place. He's got it all figured out. They don't want to get passed by the third place car, and they're not going to break their back trying to win it either. That's the way, right?
Thank you very much.
Okay, back to you, Will.
Okay, a few comments there from Captain Peter Janson, who of course is engineering along with Ian Tate, the Cadbury Schweppes team. Their car is in second place and they are not going to run for a sprint to the finish. They are going to try and conserve. But so are quite a few other drivers. We'll have the answers to a few more questions, hopefully, when we return live. Mountain Panorama at Bathurst.
You know what it's like when you drive into the garage, and they did that to the front of your car. A little more critical here at Mount Panorama for the Hardie-Ferodo 1000. That's Peter Williamson's Toyota Celica. Mike Quinn is out of the car. Peter Williamson has been strapped back in. They've refueled. They've changed some tyres. They've been under the bonnet, and the car's about to get back on the track while we pick up on the Phillips scoreboard, and you'll see that the car won the Federation Insurance Falcon, only completed 3 laps. 05 is on his 107th lap. That's the race leader, Peter Brock, in the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore. Car 4 also on 107 laps, but 1 minute and 21 seconds behind Brock is our second place car. As I said, car 4, the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore of Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. Information there, up to date, continually updated continually on the Phillips scoreboard for the outright positions and also for the class positions in this 1980 Hardie-Ferodo 1000, the Phillips Natural Colour TV scoreboard, providing a service for viewers to the telecast and also for racing enthusiasts here at trackside at Mount Panorama, making it easy for them just to keep a track on where their favourite competitor is on the circuit at any given time, or where he's placed in the race at any given time.
Okay, from Terry Lee and Doug Hampson, who are aloft in our Channel 7 community chopper, we have the number 26 Recar Commodore coming over the top of the mountain. This is the Ron Wanless, Greg Wright entry. Ron Wanless, of course, is has been an Australian Speedway speed car champion. He drives the Trotters. He owns a stable of horses, promotes race meetings himself at Archerfield, and used to promote them last summer in Sydney at the Sydney Showground before handing over for someone this year. But Ron Wanless has done, I believe, a great job at the Hardie-Ferodo this year. The Recar team has fielded 3 Commodores. I think Alan Brown has to be complimented on that, and has been really having a trouble-free run from all 3.
Peter Brock, continuing to lead the race, has now picked up the biggest bunch of lap leaders' prize money. He took a swag from Coca-Cola bottlers for that part of the race that he led in the first 80 laps, and all the $4,000 that's so far gone by the board for Ingersoll Rand on laps 81 to 160 have been Peter Brock's, and he's piled up a total of $2,100 at the present time, thanks to Coca-Cola bottlers and Ingersoll Rand. As Peter Williamson, the view coming down Conrod Straight. I'm glad they cleaned the windscreen. What a great sight. One of the bigger capacity cars going by, but Willow ducks back under there, under brakes, as they come down to this tight left-hander at the bottom of Breville, Conrod Straight, turning into Pitt Straight, up underneath the Hardie Bridge. Foot down, change of gear, past the front of the grid. The big Falcon tries to pull alongside, but Willow outbrakes him going through the corner, heading up Mountain Straight. Here comes Murray Carter. on the left-hand side. Car 18, the Falcon. Murray Carter overtakes Peter Williamson, got the longer legs up the mountain. As Evan Green rejoins us in the central commentary position.
And as we follow Peter Williamson up the hill, information from Peter, who's just holding on for a second.
Gotcha. We're trying to keep a very, very steady, hard pace up. We've got a lot of oil all over the floor. Don't know where it's coming from, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything at the moment. We've had it there since the start of the race. It's getting worse. No, I'm getting away from those bulbs. Well, the only rocks I've got must be in my head to be out here today. It's as hot as Hades. We're just heading into Castrol Curb, coming up on that beautiful little Alpha Sud. We'll take him on the outside if he doesn't crush me. I got him. There are those two big monsters. Here I come. Look out, you big ugly things. Get out of the road, you big ugly thing. Come on, move! That's the problem with these small cars. They go so well, and you get these things that just hold you up. He's just holding me bog slow. Wrong gear. I just hit the wrong gear. I hope I didn't over-rev it. As we're coming into Conrod Straight now, you can see those big cars just waltzing away from us, which I suppose that's fair. They're 5.5 litres or something. But I'll pull them back again down the bottom here. It's a beautiful day in Bathurst. It's very, very warm. There's hardly a breeze blowing. You can see this Labour's flag on the hump here. We're just pressing the hump. We're going at the breakers. 4, 3, 2. I better think about stopping.
From Peter Williamson once again. Oh,
he's getting tired, I'm sure.
All day. And you can't afford to just relent for a moment. We've got to be very careful we don't over-rev anything or get flat spots on the tyres. But also we've got to be just as careful we don't lose any time. Just over 8,000 revs. I can't tell any lies this year because there's a tacho on the dash in front of you, and that works out at exactly 141 miles per hour, which is fairly remarkable from a little fellow like this. We're just pressing the first hump out of the cutting, and gee, there's been some cars have accidents today. Never seen so many, and dangerous ones too. The Dick Johnson affair, that was incredible. However, that's motor racing, I suppose. Into Castrol Curve. Now, this is a hard stopper. Hang on a minute. Over the skyline, look at that. What a pleasant way to see Blakehurst. For the straight. There's a lot of noise over here in the radio. There's Conrod Straight. Isn't that beautiful? Here we go. First hump, a little bit sideways. Heading down now. There's 8,000. 142. Over the second hump, we get a bit airborne. Past the 500, 400, 300, 200, and better start stopping. the sticker on the back window of the car. It's the official New South Wales Police Force Highway Patrol badge. I have a feel they're trying to catch me today, haven't they? Here we go, hang on. Oh, they grabbed you. It's coming up on a Mitsubishi Lancer. Into the cutting. I'll be a bit careful here. I'll trip. Try and keep my speed up. I've managed to do so I can get out of this hole. Very steep there. Under the tree. It's my tree. They told me the Bathurst Council were going to cut it down. I was going to take up a petition to stop them. Astral curve. Very bumpy just here. In the hard solder. Oh, here's that beautiful beer. Over the skyline, on the brakes, down to fourth. Accelerate, back to second. Oh, gee. To the forest elbow, so I had my little accident yesterday. Back onto the Conrod straight. How companies like Dunlop can develop the tyres they do. The tyres in this car, we're absolutely thrashing it. The tyres are doing 52 laps. We're doing 6.17 kilometres per lap. And they're coming off only half worn. Beautiful condition, you wouldn't believe it. Here we go. Hang on a minute. Coming up behind me. He's in the middle of the road. I won't get his ride. He's a genius, isn't he? This frog. The comment was passed in the pits. It's all very well to have money, but if you haven't got any brains, it's not much good to you. But this guy's got both. There he goes. The champ. The headmaster of all us little pupils. Hang on there.
The noise in there must be deafening, Pete.
The noise?
Must be deafening, is it?
Yeah, it is deafening. We've gone straight through exhaust systems for Bathurst, and hang on a minute. Here's the Marston Holmes Capri. I don't know which one it is. He's letting me go. Good on you. Where's he, Stuart? Oh, here we go. Oh, one of those Yankee monsters. Oh, hello there. Gee, I hate big cars, as if you couldn't tell. Into the depot. Right behind me is Wayne Negus in a commode. He's doing his best trying to catch me. He's got his time cut out. There you go now, Wayne. Wayne all the way from Western Australia. Good competitor. You'll see on the side of his car the insignia of a black sheep. Because he gets in so much trouble with officials and other competitors, he thinks he's a black sheep. So he's got all over his car. Another car coming up behind us now is a Ford Falcon. He's going to have a crack at us too, I think. I'm going to have a bit of trouble here. No, I'm right. I'm right, I think. No, it's not. It's Peter Williamson in the Commodore. Unusual this year. They haven't got all their hot bits on them, and Same rules as us. Consequently. Okay.
We've lost Peter Williamson momentarily. We'll take a break and return with more live action from the Hardie-Ferodo 1000.
Indianapolis Motor Speedway, John Cooper set the engines firing here at Mount Panorama this morning, and there's one that's having a little trouble keeping up now. John Cooper is over in the pits with Chris Economaki.
Well, sitting down here watching what's going on first, Peter Williamson, whom we just heard from in his Toyota on the racetrack, the Toyota Dealer Team has just announced that they are contributing $1,000 to the fund to keep our former leader out and back in the race, Dick Johnson. I think that's quite nice of the Toyota Dealer Team. In other news, in the disappearing Falcons, the Oro Bronze Condor Falcon, if Gary Wilmington and Rod Donovan has said goodbye, they tried to fix it, but they've packed up and gone home. We just down to talk to Frank Gardner, the team manager for Alan Bryce and John Smith. And we jokingly said to Frank, are you giving him a copy of your book? Frank Gardner has become an author of a book on safe driving, and he smiled and said, no, in 2 hours you're allowed one mistake. I think that's a pretty nice attitude on the part of Frank Gardner. Sitting with me is the president of Indianapolis Motor Speedway and an old friend, John Cooper, his first Bathurst exposure, but having been familiar with Australian racing for a long time, having lived here about 13 years ago. John, are you enjoying yourself? And what are the most significant things you notice about the event?
Chris, I think it's a, as we say, a neat event, or as they say here, a beaut event. Got Colin Bond right behind us here with an overheating engine. We are at the heart of the action, as they say in television, Chris. I think the event has had more interesting things than I could ever imagine. The fact that Peter Brock is leading, I guess, was to be expected. The Dick Johnson incident was a sad one, and it took away for me some of the interest in the race. But all in all, I think it's a tremendous event, and I hope this is the first of many Hardie-Ferodo 1000s that I'm able to attend.
You know, John, it's an interesting development in the race because in American stock car racing, some of our 500-mile races have been won by drivers who have come from a lap down or even 2 laps down. Now, Brock had trouble earlier today, came in the pits, lost the lap, got the lap back, and is now leading the race. And to me, that's really driving a racing car.
It is. It reminds me a little bit, Chris, at home, the racing we see of the Wood brothers, the number 21 Purolator Mercury. They seem to know what to do. It's a very professional operation, and he obviously drives the car very well.
Well, we just talked, the viewers heard me talk with Peter Janson, and the car in second place is content to stay in second place. They're not going to push. They're really concerned with staying ahead of the third place cars, so we've got a static situation right now, and but things may liven up as the race wears on, but right now, it's a very steady event. Back to the tower.
Thank you, Chris Economaki, speaking with John Cooper. the honoured guest of this year's Hardie-Ferodo 1000. We've been watching two of the Mazda RX-7s barreling around in close company. 39, the one in front, was Barry Jones. The earlier report we had as far as he was concerned was he'd been out with a crash. He may have had a crash, but he's crashing around at a pretty fair rate of knots now. Although it hasn't been a terribly good race as far as the rotary engine Mazdas are concerned. We might ask our IBM people, in fact, to punch up the score as far as Mazdas are concerned in this race. This is Barry Jones, the man who did so well in the earlier model Mazda at Amaru Park races this year. Not allowed to run the old RX-3 because it's out of fashion, so he's running instead the RX-7.
Barry's completed 61 laps. The race was on lap 116.
So that's a different. But it does indicate the spirit of these drivers. They have troubles, they get the car fixed, and they come back on the track. And they give their sponsors and the crowd their money's worth, there's no doubt. And Barry Jones, one of the real characters who has emerged this year from relative obscurity to be one of the top runners in sedan car racing. That's how Mazdas are going generally. See there, the leading one, even though they've lost so many laps, 52 behind the leader, with Barry Jones in front from McLeod Brewster machine. They had troubles very early in the piece. In fact, they lost two of the cars in the pitch within the first half dozen laps. Jones wasn't happy with the prospect of having to change from his reliable RX-3, the one that his wife used to take shopping, because he felt that he wouldn't have time to develop the RX-7s with the same pitch as that smaller but very potent car was achieving.
I think they might have a problem also, Evan, in the Peter Williamson pits. I noticed a while back that they were all gearing up, and a little piece of conversation that I heard on the two-way suggested they may have been able, or Peter might be coming back in.
Peter did say that he had some oil in the car, inside the car, on the floor.
Yes, it sounded a bit ominous if you got a leak through a seal, say, in the gearbox. He was also referring in rather unkindly terms to Dick Barber's Camaro, but the message is he has a gearbox problem and he can't get the gears, which is why he was travelling at a fairly leisurely pace in front of him.
There's a new leader, by the way, in the 1600cc class, the Mitsubishi Lancer car 57, with Ian Burrell and Rob Shute is now the leader in that class, ahead of car 54, which is a Gemini driven by Terry Finnegan and Peter Dane. And the third spot in that 1600cc class is held down by car 65, and that's the entry by the Formula Ford Association of Australia, driven by Bob Holden and David Earl, the Escort gear. And
that's Bob Holden, who has been in every one except one of the Hardie-Ferodos, and one here in 1966, one of the great enthusiasts. Let's now call upon the IBM scoring service to show us the positions as far as the field is concerned. We have Peter Brock stretching out his lead over the second place car, which is the Peter Janson machine, by about 3 seconds per lap.
Yeah, Brock a minute 36 in front now of Peter Janson's car.
This is Barry Jones in the RX-7, 57 up behind the leaders, but going on and typifying the spirit of so many of the contestants here at Mount Panorama.
Peter Brock in 05 for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team has completed 116 laps.
Which puts him one ahead of Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. In third place is the Alan Brown entry, which he's sharing with Brian Sampson, who won here with Peter Brock 7 years ago. And here is the overall position as we follow cars around. Car number 29, just sweeping by on your screen, is the Laurie Nelson car, which he and Tony Farrell, both Victorians, are driving.
05, Peter Brock, car 4, Peter Janson, car 15, the Brown Sampson Commodore, car 10, Charlie O'Brien and Garth Wigston in 4th place. You know, they've been terribly consistent. They've been going all day, as has Pete Geoghegan too.
Yes, now he missed out on the top 10, Pete Geoghegan, one of the great drivers in Australian motorsport. And he and Paul Gulson are right up there, 4 laps behind the leader.
Still there in 8th spot overall is the 3-litre Capri of Barry Seaton. 9th position, Alan Grice, car 6, the Craven Mile Commodore, after being stuck in the sand. And in 10th spot is the 9-network Camaro with Kevin Bartlett and Bob Forbes. Peter Williamson Salika too.
Up into 12th place here, just ahead of Wayne Negus, the West Australian driver, running under Sid Negus Racing, who was a motorsport celebrity in the West, what, 20 or 30 years ago, I suppose.
There's the 9 Sports Camaro. Kevin Bartlett at the wheel on the way. And again, were also had their troubles earlier in the day with some rear brake lock-up, but they've run most consistently of the Commodores, and that's put them in the top 10 at this late stage of the race.
They've done a tremendous job when you consider the number of brake changes that they have really carried out at their regular pit stops, and 2 other pit stops without. So Kevin Bartlett and Bob Forbes have made it back into the top 10 after at least running in the top 3 for the opening few laps of this race.
Kevin Bartlett hanging the tail there as he did in practice yesterday, and yesterday he put a real dent on the side and scraped a lot of white paint off. You know, he's that rare character, a professional racing driver who still loves the sport. A lot of them become a little cynical or just weary of all the dramas and the problems that can occur in motor racing, but Kevin Bartlett still seems to love motorsport, tries a bit of everything. Oh, and there's a distressing sight in the pits. It's a car that's had its shares of troubles during the day, number 22.
Roth's Matheson.
Yeah, well, Jim Keogh, of course, was delighted last year. He finished his first ever long touring car race and came home in 14th spot. Doesn't look too promising for him at the moment. And KB, or Ever Reverend Kevin, one of a few of the names by which he's known, is still going round. He's in the top 10. Was one of the drivers, certainly, who started with a chance of outright success. Took pole position yesterday and won the $9,250 for Hardie's Heroes. And still pressing on with great gusto, although, of course, out as far as any chance of outright victory is concerned.
Peter Brock certainly looking good at this stage, as Peter Brock looks in any motor race.
Yeah, it didn't look so good for a while, though, Mike. When he hit that other car and came into the pitch with steam pouring out the front, it looked so he might have lost our favourite. But the only man who wasn't worried was Peter Brock.
That's true, only because of the two-way packing up. So that really hasn't put him at a disadvantage. And in fact, he's been leading the race now for some considerable time. The others have dropped out as we go back to Peter Williamson's car as he heads off up Mountain Straight one more time. We won't bother Peter at this stage.
Oh, Brocky's continuing to pick up that $50 per lap from Ingersoll Rand on this section of the race, laps 81 through 160. Peter took the lion's share of the Coca-Cola bottler's money as well.
Peter Brock has an amazing record here at Bathurst. He began racing in, 68 in the Monaro and distinguished himself by being passed by a Mini. But since then, he's done rather better. In 1969, the year that Colin Bond won with Tony Roberts, he came 3rd. And he then came 14th, the year of the first Tiranas, when they had valve trouble. And then he came 5th and then 1st in 1972, 2nd in 73. He didn't finish in 74. In 75, he was 1st. In 76, he was 3rd. In 77, with problems, which he ran out of fuel, and Doug Chivers did the big push, he came in 4th, and he's come 1st in both following years. So in all those years of competition, that's 11 events up till now, only once has he not finished, and 4 times has he won. Now,
the guy did work.
Okay, watch this little piece here as Kevin Bartlett came down behind the K Porter entry. Tap, tap. Tap. Well, that'll improve the ratings. And tap again. And while this is all going on the Channel 7 network...
Whoops, it hasn't quite finished yet, Mike, I don't think.
Just a little scrape, but then again, we're in the 3 to 3:30 spot. We'll take a break and return live. More action from Mount Panorama at Bathurst. Top of the mountain, and here we have the bird's eye view from Peter Williamson's Toyota Celica, the Toyota Dealer Teams, and the car co-sponsored this year by National Panasonic, coming down through the dipper. whew, can't you feel your midday lunch? Swings out to the outside, really making a bird of this part of the track. It's a part that most other drivers are extremely busy, not to say that Peter isn't, but he gets through there very, very quickly indeed. And the only place that Peter loses out a little to the V8s is in this area, and that's the straightaway.
You know, with Peter Brock leading this race, Barry Seaton holding down 8th position outright, and Peter Williamson only just outside the top 10. Index of performance is going to be looking very interesting. We might have to check that out very shortly.
Yes, I think it's probably still between Williamson, though, and the Capris, but Williamson, the one who's made the greatest improvement because he was going so hard last year. The Capris, though, were there in a bunch, but we call upon the IBM scoring service to give us the index. It's Peter Williamson takes you down with his late braking to Murray's corner.
Let's take a look at the Phillips scoreboard down at the bottom of Conrod Straight and a recap of the positions.
120 laps have been completed by 05. Peter Brock in the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore, and he leads Peter Janson in car 4, who's on 119 laps, and they're the two that are fighting at the major end of the prize money at the moment. As we look down the Phillips scoreboard, you can see that 3rd place now is being held by car 10, Charlie O'Brien and Garth Wigston in the Roadways Deuce car.
You look at their progress through the field at 108 laps. They were way back in 6th place. 1 lap later, they'd moved up a point, and right through they've been gathering the field in. Now they're 3rd place with 119 laps covered, and they have been making the best progress through the field of these front runners. But news we've just got, by the way, from the Toyota pit crew for Peter Williamson is he has alternator trouble and may be coming into the pits. So we'll be watching that with interest. He has the red light showing all the time in his car, so he'll be coming in for a quick check. It may affect the position as far as the class is concerned, although I think he has a fair lead there. But on the index of performance, it might make it a very touchy thing because he has Barry Seaton, Peter Brock, Graham Bailey, Colin Bond, Laurie Nelson, Peter Janson, Ray Cutchy, fairly close in his heels, all driving a variety of cars. And this is Peter Williamson threading his way through the field at the moment, and probably coming into the pits to get that alternator check just to see what the problem is.
Barry Seaton, of course, leading the 3-litre class at Capri. Williamson in the Celica leading the 2-litre class, car 57. The Mitsubishi Lancer is leading the 1600cc class. Look at this. Giving Masterton and Holmes something for their corner.
Peter's running 11th outright.
Bobby's trying hard. Been there for a while and trying very hard. I don't know why he should be just coming home, I would have thought. We'll try and get him under brakes down here. The battery's just holding in, I think.
Okay, as you've heard, Peter Williamson has some problems. He believes it's a battery problem and is planning to call in the next lap or so. And his crew have been anxiously awaiting his arrival in the pit area for the past 5 laps. They're not absolutely certain.
He had a very troubled practice session, but as always seems to have got it all together for the race itself.
On the way up Mountain Straight, and not far behind him, he's got a couple of the bigger cars. Peter Janson and Charlie O'Brien, both in Commodores.
This is not the Colin Bond car, I've just overtaken Colin. This is the other Masterton Capri.
It's car 31.
Such a joyous day.
Give Peter the wave past.
I've had a bit of bad luck. Colin's pressing me very hardly at the moment.
Yes, with the oil up ahead there. Someone in strife ahead. Colin Bond.
He's driving around. careful, I might get what I did yesterday. There he goes, right in the middle of the road.
Behind Peter, of course, had overheating troubles, which is why he's been in some strife. Whether he's got the power to pull out and try and pass Peter on the straight is a question we'll have answered in just about 5 seconds' time.
There goes Peter Williamson down Breville Conrod Straight. What must be playing on his mind as he talks back to his crew? We'll get off the talk back to Peter because he wants to consult with his crew at the moment over the problem they seem to be having with the Toyota National Panasonic Celica. There you can see him down the straightaway and just how much of an edge the V8s have on the little Toyota, but he makes up for a lot of it, as you are well aware, at the end of the straight. The Toyota Dealer Team car. Watch him here right behind the Dixon Avco Pepsi Camaro.
Very well-prepared car, the twin cam Celica. They put an enormous amount of effort to get the car right. Looking under the cars just to admire the amount of work that's gone into the suspension, the materials and the finish on is quite extraordinary. It really is a real little racing machine with the virtually a Formula 2 engine, twin cam, revving its heart out. Has been so reliable in racing for him generally. It just doesn't have the power to match the big cars up the hill. But the handling of the car plus the daring of Peter Williamson is enough to keep him right up in contention and be much higher in the field than one would have imagined. Up in 11th place at the moment.
Brock is in the pits.
Peter Brock has been in and out of the pits, took 40 seconds and still has the lead in the race.
These big fellas just don't get away anymore. He'll take off and leave me now. What you'd expect, I suppose. That's Conrod Straight. Yeah, we have. It looks like we'll be lucky to make it at this stage. We've got oil all over the floor. I don't know what the hell from, but beautiful building over there for the silver steeples. It's St. Stanislaus College. I went to school in Bathurst, All Saints College. We used to come over here. We'd have a fight, and then a game of football, and then another fight. You don't need a trainer. You don't need a trainer. There we go. So there's Charlie. He's only just beat me to the bottom of the straight now. That's the difference these days. It's going to get less. The venerable Captain Janson. He's going to rush me before the corner, which is a silly thing to do, but that's Captain. Go for it. Look at him, look. If he'd have stayed behind me, we'd both been better off. But he's running second, I think, at this stage. Am I correct, Mike? What a marvellous job he's doing. Privateer. It's running on Schweppes soda water, I understand. Yes. Straight. The wind's starting to blow just a little. But cool down a little. I'd like it much better. Hang on a sec. I've got a job to do. Should have done that. Ronnie's right behind me. And although he's a few laps down, these boys are going to let me get away, I think. They're cutting. everybody. I've got about 5 million co-drivers. I reckon the old Parker and the Fleur are getting a bit of a knocking about again today. Here we are, 8,000, 141 or 2 miles per hour. There's a Commodore in front of me. Look at 200. Here we go. Video and sat out there all day and took a TV and we played with it, and the results are fantastic. The car's unbelievable. It reacts just so beautifully. Look at that. I can do anything with it. Certainly famous. We're getting a harshness through the car at the moment. It's been there for some laps and don't like the sound of it at all. But then again, you get to this stage of a race, of gremlins and squeaks and all sorts of things. Most of the time it's imagination, but I can see all that oil on the floor and I know that's no imagination. Good old slippery Castrol. Oh, hang on a minute. Well, every time I come through here, I grow some more hair on my chest.
Peter Williamson having a problem with draining his battery amongst other things, and he's not sure whether or not he'll be able to make the race, or to the finish of the race anyway. Chris Economaki is ready in the pit area, and we'll be going across to Chris now to meet some other drivers.
All right, thank you for coming by, Peter. I notice this year's race is a lot hotter than last year's race. I know it's the first thing you do when you get out of the car is take a long swig of that Gatorade. Is it a tougher day for you with the wheel than last year?
Yes, it's very hot today. Plus, we've had to push along. We had to make up for that unscheduled stop earlier, and what I tried to do then, I wanted to make up the distance on Larry Perkins, who just called in, of a flat tyre plus a pit stop, which meant I went from about 40 seconds ahead of him up to about 120, 125 seconds. So I worked hard. I wanted to give Jim an easier job so he can coast. He can just take it easy now. He can just squeeze the car along without having to hurt it at all.
Now, after this last pit stop, where you turned over to Jim, you have a minute 11 on the Janson and Perkins car. Are you comfortable with that?
Oh, yes. There's Janson and Perkins in the pits now, and that should be around about a 1 minute stop. So on the road, we haven't got to come back in again now, nor will he. That should be a comfortable gap of 2 minutes, which, you know, you can get a flat tyre, a couple of flat tyres, and still get out there and keep in front.
What about the circuit conditions now, as far as debris and stuff on the track?
A bit of debris, yeah, a few rocks, a bit of broken glass here and there. It's a very quick, quite a quick stop.
That's all good.
Peter, these Hardie-Ferodo 1000s, you make them look easy. What's your secret?
Get into a groove. You've got to get in the groove and stroke the car along. Just drive it along at such a speed that everything's happening very easily, very nicely, very sweetly. I try not to get involved in dicey with other cars. I try to run my own race. If necessary, I'll put the pressure on a few of them, have a bit of a dice with them to try to slow them down a bit, have a bit of fun. But generally, I like to get into that groove where I'm going apex, 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 change gears now, and try to make it so that I've got a little game with myself, that every time I don't do a lap time, that's a failure.
As the season goes on, Peter, do you see any promise for the Falcons becoming a serious competitor?
Yes, I think most unfortunate for Dick Johnson today, certainly competitive. Bob Morris was in there looking good. I don't know what happened to him, but certainly had the speed.
You ran him into the ground.
Yeah, we thought that we might be able to do that. I think that none of the Falcons have done a year's running in the Touring Car Championship, which is our traditional build-up for this event. We've done our homework as far away as 4 or 5 months ago. We knew what's going to happen, what's going to break up here. Not that something mightn't break, of course, but we've put a long 8 or 9 months into it, and the Falcons haven't. And I think until they do it, they're not going to have the answers to get out here and drive the car hard and fast for 1,000k.
Peter, what about the future for you? Your racing horizons, Le Mans, the United States. What would you like to do next?
I actually would like to go and run in the States. I'm an avid reader of your motoring publications over there, and I certainly would like the chance of getting over there and doing a few events. It's just a matter of organisation, really, make it all happen. And I'd certainly like to get over to Europe and do a few of the, Le Mans and Spa and a few of those races too. They're good fun.
Well, it would be a great addition to the show there. I hope you make it. And thanks a lot for your wonderful cooperation during the telecast today.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Back to the booth.
So, thank you very much, Chris Economaki. And while you were talking to Peter Brock there, Jim Richards was circulating at a very comfortable 2 minutes 27.33 seconds, and that's just the sort of pace that they require, I think.
And in fact, he passed the Peter Janson or Larry Perkins car in the pits, which now gives this car more than 1 lap lead over the second vehicle on the field.
We'll be back to take a look at the race leader and the rest of the cars still in the running after this break in the Hardie-Ferodo 1000. But I've never had to say it. There's a dog on the track. Oh, and eluding all the pursuers.
It's a nimble
Tell you
one.
what, it'd want to be nimble too. It keeps going in that direction.
It's running into a bad place there where it just can't get up. The poor thing's probably frightened.
It won't ever make the Phillips scoreboard, but there's no doubt about the leader on the scoreboard at the moment. It's 0-5. Peter Brock and Jim Richards at the wheel at the moment of the lead car for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team, leading once more at this late stage of the Hardie-Ferodo 1000. A lap up on the second place getter. That's car 4, the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore of Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. What's the gap there? A lap plus 16 seconds. That's between 0-5 and the second place getter, car 4.
So Jim Richards at the wheel of the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team car, having taken over from Peter Brock, now has that lead over the Peter Janson car. There's a full countdown, the car numbers on the top, the number of laps they've covered.
Car 35, you can see, has covered 122 laps, is the leader in that 3-litre class. That's Barry Seaton Pre. In this class, car 44, having covered 120 laps, is Peter Williamson, the leader in the 2-litre class and the leader in the index of performance. And in the small class, the 1600cc class, car 57, well, it's pretty close there. Car 57, car 54. I'm not quite sure which of the two cars is ahead on the track. Car 54 is Terry Finnegan's Gemini Isuzu, and car 57 is the Scott Tune Mitsubishi Lancer.
They've been changing places, Gary.
Yes,
We've seen both of them in the lead in recent times. So we might pick up that dice in a while and see how they're going, 54
so
and 57.
close tussle there in the 1600cc class. But clearly defined in the other classes, with Williamson leading the 2-litre class, Seaton leading the 3-litre class, and no doubt who's leading the big class and the race It's 05, Peter Brock and Jim Richards. We'll pick up now. That car you can see on your screen is car 51, in fact, and well, that's the chicken man. This is the car that Peter Williamson, in fact, drove in this race last year. Graham Bailey now at the wheel with Doug Clark, not at the same time, of course.
Well, we had 3 men in one car today, 1 or 2 at a time. Both from Gosford, New South Wales. Graham Bailey, who cut his teeth in rallying, if I could use that expression loosely, and has developed into a very good racing driver, has taken over the Peter Williamson car. No one seems to get them better performing than Willow. And he's running second in the class, so Toyota's flag is being carried very firmly by these two runners. And even if Peter Williamson should have the misfortune to have strife, which he's out rather anticipating with his electrical problem, you've got Graham Bailey and Doug Clark from Gosford. They're ready to fill their shoes and win the class.
They, in fact, are holding down third spot in the index of performance as well, which is virtually a handicap section of the race, which there's, as I said before, a complicated equation which levels out the performance of all cars, and Peter Williamson's Celica, a 2-litre car, is leading that class at the moment with 128.8, followed by Barry Seaton's Capri on 128.4, so it's a pretty close thing between those two cars. Third place in the index of performance at the moment being held by the Bailey Celica, Chickadee, then the Bond Masterton Holmes Capri, and then the 05 Commodore, Peter Brock and Jim Richards. They're the first 5 placings as they stand at the moment in the index of performance.
The long view up the top of Mountain Straight, the part of the circuit where the old hands say the race is either won or lost. Graham Bailey bringing the Celica up around GTX bend. This is one part of the circuit I noticed where Peter Williamson always holds his breath around this sweeping bend, and the next one, the BP cutting, so often seems to give him just that instantaneous fright.
We spoke to Sue Ransom before the race started today. She was co-driving a Commodore with Neville Bridges. Chris Economacki's got Neville Bridges with him at the moment.
Right, yes I do, and Neville is driving with Sue Ransom. In the United States, we see a lot of teams with 2 girls in them, but rarely do we see a team with a girl sharing a car with a man. Congratulate you for engaging in that exercise. And what about the relationship between a woman driver and a man driver on the track? Do you have the rapport that you would have with another man when you talk with her about the car and the track conditions and so forth?
Well, in Sue's case, I feel she's brilliant, really. She's good to work with, knows a lot more than you'd expect about setting a car up, and she's just had a lot of experience, really, when you sit down and add it all up.
What about the, as we say, the nuts and bolts aspect of it, when it gets right down into things technical? Is she as aware of those things as a man might be?
Sure, yeah, as good as anybody I've ever been involved with. Any of the other fellas, other guys. I just think she's brilliant. She's a much better driver, I think, than people give her credit for. I'd really like to come back and have a more competitive car and have another go and see if we could run with the other fellas.
I know this is a long-distance race, so you're not out for really sizzling lap times, but how do your lap times compare?
Our car's ailing now. We've had to drop back probably 10 seconds on what we'd like to lap at, and we're trying just to get it home. We're a little short of practice time. Had a few problems with the engine, and we've been able to do 6 laps only each in the car, so this is the first time we've really driven it, and we're just going to try and get home.
I see. Now, Sue's on the track now. Will she carry on till the finish?
She's just trying to get home, yeah.
Well, that's good. Congratulations and good luck, you know. Well, thanks for coming by our camera.
Thank you.
Okay, back to you, Evan.
Thank you very much, Chris. While we watch some of the class cars circulating here at Mount Panorama, very quickly I'll run through some of the class performances. One of the cars we're watching here, that's the Barry Seaton Don Smith car number 35. The Capri is leading the 3-litre class. Second in that is car 32, the Masterton Holmes entry with Colin Bond and Steve Masterton. And then car 29, Capri components, Laurie Nelson and Tony Farrell from Victoria, also a Capri. And car 37, running 4th in that class, for Trend Windows, Terry Daly with Peter Hopwood. In the and there's Sue Ransom now circulating with the Commodore. This is the car she was telling us earlier on. It's very much a standard machine, the one that is going to be advertised as being driven by this little old lady at the weekends. Well, Sue's little, I suppose. She's not very old. Just trying to nurse the car back to the finish, as you heard Neville Bridges describe to you. Sue's had a go at most things in motorsport and done exceptionally well. She's tried Formula 2 racing, other single-seaters, a very accomplished rally driver, which is where she first really gained a reputation for herself. Number 45, Graham Mine and Jeff Russell, both Queensland drivers. They're running fourth in their class, which is for cars between 1600 cc's and 2 litres. It's being led by Peter Williamson in the Celica, and car 51's coming second in that category. That's a Chickadee Chicken, Graham Bailey, Doug Clark Celica Coupe. And then we get into the escorts, car number 40, which is Rex Monaghan's entry for Ray Cutchie and Ray Farrer from Victoria, and this car running in fourth place in that category. A long way behind the leaders. There's been quite a heavy mortality rate in that group, and you have 9 laps between. This is how escorts themselves are performing in the race, bearing in mind that the leading one, the Ray Cutchie number car 40, is running third in the class and is in fact 6 laps behind Peter Williamson's 2-litre Toyota Celica.
Meantime, 05, the race leader, the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team car with Jim Richards at the wheel, continues to circulate in 227s, 228s, and continues to pull ahead of the second place car, car 4, Peter Janson, by 3 seconds or so a lap. And 05 is now a lap and 22.2 seconds ahead of Peter Janson. The first 8 placings outright at the present time are held down by Commodores. 9th placing outright is held down by the Capri and Barry Seaton, 3-litre class leader, and 10th placing outright is held by the 9-network Commodore.
We're watching car 45, which is the Graham Mine Queensland entry, running fourth in the class, and you're watching the action brought to you live from Mount Panorama, the great race for 1980.
The way we're driving it is a little bit like wrestling with an alligator. There's not many things working, and you just got to do your best. We want to bring it home.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. I'm sure you'll get home. All the best, and thanks for being so kind to us on the telecast today.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, Alan Grice, hoping the car gets home. Thank you.
Ray Cutchie circulating in the escort, number 40, Victorian entrant. Cruising down the mountain. The escorts came here, I think, hoping to do pretty well in the class, but they're having a lot of trouble with Peter Williamson and Graham Bailey in the 2 twin-cam Toyota Celicas. And they're finding them just a little bit faster than Cutchie did exceptionally well at Sandown with the Hang 10 400. He won his class there. And Peter Williamson had mechanical troubles in that race. And I think Ray probably would have been hoping for a slightly better result than he's been experiencing here today. It's quite interesting how the small cars are developing in sophistication. Ford in the racing don't run their twin cam motors, although they do sell them, but not enough numbers to have them homologated for this race, or listed or recognised, or whatever alternative word you want to that wretched word, homologation, that not only confuses commentators but must confuse listeners as well. This is the the Escort with the 2-litre single overhead cam engine, not nearly as highly developed as Peter Williamson's been able to take his 2-litre double overhead cam, which is really brought out to as close as he can Formula 2 racing. A little bit more of a cooking engine as far as Ray Cutchy is concerned, but still one of the most popular cars in motor racing among clubmen and enthusiasts. Escorts in Britain especially so dominate motorsport that it's almost rare to find someone else taking part. The car that Ray is driving at the moment is the 2-door model. Of course, we don't get other versions here. The little spoiler at the back of the car, you can see how this spoiler is included as a standard fitting. There's been some controversy about spoilers. Only the big cars have been allowed to run with them as virtual extras, if I can use that word very loosely in the race, whereas small cars, including Peter Williamson's Toyota, have been forbidden by the race organisers from tacking them on. And you may wonder, when you look at the car, just what sort of advantage they get from a spoiler. Of course, something that sticks up in the air can hardly be imagined to contribute towards the aerodynamics of the car, but it's to try and compensate for the shape of these cars, which is very much of a compromise designed to make them suitable for everyday living rather than for motor racing. And the little spoiler at the back forms a little dam of disturbed air that lies between the back window and the tip of that spoiler, stays there, much like the backwater of a creek, keeps circulating within itself, and it allows the airstream over the top of the roof to flow over the top, and in effect changes the shape of the back of the car.
Peter Williamson is in a bit of a quandary at the moment, Evan Green. I've just heard over in his pit he was inquiring about whether or not he should come in and have a stop, maybe look at one or two of those minor problems that he had going, but they've advised him that he's leading the class, leading the index of performance. If he pits, he's going to lose out on the leadership in the index of performance section, so I think he's probably tossing a coin right now.
Yes, it's a very difficult decision for the man at the wheel to have to make. The index is an important result. It's one that the organisers, the Australian Racing Drivers Club, are trying to build up in importance as well. But I think Peter would be more concerned about a good class result and trying to maintain his outright position than necessarily trying to improve on the index. But it's a very difficult situation for him to wrestle with that just at the moment when he has so many other things on his mind. I think he might be inclined to try and play it safe.
Yes, the way things stand at the moment, he's in fact broken clear of the Barry Seaton Capri in the index of performance and has quite a good lead there, 138.7 to 137 even. But he's more able to afford a stop in regard to his class position because he's a couple of laps up there.
An actual being changed in the pitch. You can see the hot oil and someone getting a stung hand there. Be pretty warm under the back there. This is Murray Carter, who really is adding to his reputation for being the greatest driver in motorsport. Now Murray, is a really good driver. His performance at Sandown was quite outstanding. Came fourth, but really drove with a great deal of venom. He was very tigerish, not just out to finish, but to do well. But he's had a lot of actual troubles today, and once you seem to get trouble in one area, it's hard for it to go away. And you can see they're dealing with the hot disc brake on the back. Murray, who competed and won his class in the first Armstrong 500, the predecessor of this race 20 years ago, is still in there driving with distinction. He's driven nothing but forwards in all that time and really has done the make proud. A very determined and much liked competitor.
Back in the race, car 35, the Barry Seaton Don Smith Capri continues to lead the 3-litre class, having completed 127 laps, and they're 4 laps clear of the second car in that class. That's the car 32, Masterton Holmes entry with Steve Masterton and Colin Bond. The 2-litre class we've mentioned, Peter Williamson, the leader there, having covered 126 laps, and he's 4 laps up on the second place getter in that class. That's Graham Bailey in the Chicken Celica, having covered 122 laps.
And we watch Peter Williamson heading up the mountain as we remind you that you're watching from Bathurst, the great race.
I understand that Peter Williamson, by the way, is going to try and run the race without coming in again. It's the battery that's still causing a problem, but he's got his fingers crossed, and I think he wants to make a try for the finish.
We must try and pick up Pete Geoghegan somewhere, who's still running in 4th place.
05, Brock and Richards in the lead in the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore. They've picked up $3,450 in lap bonus money at $50 a lap so far. That's nice pocket money to start with. That's before the big slice of the cake comes at the end of the race, presuming they're still there. And they are at the moment with 134 laps completed, and they're a lap up on the second place getter, car 4, Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. It's the Cadbury Schweppes car as we speak. Coming down off the top of the mountain. About a lap and 30 seconds down. We'll be back for more action in the great race in just a moment.
Position.
He's done very well, Pete Geoghegan. This is his return to touring car racing. It's almost once a year trip for Pete, but they've worked their way up very, very well.
Yes, missed the top 10, got back in about 13th place. The one who did make top 10, of course, was Peter Janson, who let Larry Perkins have a go around the track, as he said, oh, I'm going to drive the start and the finish, and Larry in the middle, so I'll let him have a go at the practice session and see how he goes. Peter Janson is one of the great characters of motorsport, and why not let him introduce himself to you.
Hi everybody, I hope you're all at home enjoying your Schweppes and having a good drink on Janson. Because out here it's a hot day, especially sitting in a car. To myself, I think it's hard for Larry and me to go elsewhere than we are at the moment. We were 5th one year, 4th one year, 3rd the next, and 2nd. Now this year, it's an impossibility to go any further, I'm sure. That is being a privateer. This year, there's a lot of excitement on the mountain. Some of the best competition I've seen for years. It's got a lot keener and a lot more expensive. When I say a lot more expensive, I really mean it. You really start to sell everything you've got to get up to this mountain. And I think saying this, I've got to thank a lot of the people who back me, like Schweppes and J&B and Air India, TAA, Walpole Page, go on and on. But this is the only way you get there. And you boys might think, well, especially Channel 7, Janson's making a lot for his jolly sponsors up here. Well, I tell you, I have to, otherwise I get my backside kicked in by the time I get home. And I'm a lover, not a fighter. But I rely a lot on Larry. Also, I've got Ian Tate, who's built the car and the engines. He's been a great man. He's built the Commodores that went around Australia, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. Now he owns Janson and Perkins, and that's saying something. The guy must be mad in the head department or something.
Peter Janson, always a jovial character, and they're well placed in the Cadbury Schweppes car, running in 2nd at the moment behind Peter Brock and Jim Richards, the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore.
One of the great question marks in this race is hanging over Peter Williamson. He seems to have eased up a little bit. Now, whether he has problems or whether he's heading for the pits, we don't know, but the message we've got from him is that he's having electrical trouble, alternator or battery, and that's not the way Peter normally hurls through there. He was complaining earlier on that he had a lot of oil on the floor, had it from the start, but that the volume of oil was increasing, and it looks as though Peter Williamson may be coming back towards the pits. We'll follow him down the straight.
Actually, what has been happening in that pit, and I've been following it very, very closely, they have a generator or an alternator problem or a battery problem. There's one that also has another problem. That's the McLeod Brewster RX-7 that gets going again. And John Porter, our systems man at Channel 7, has been using the camera to really read out the dials and what is drawing off the alternator. So John Porter has actually got in as far as being one of the crew at the moment, and I think they're coming in to do a stop.
It doesn't look too good, Mike. He was waving to the spectators then, and it's not too good generally for Toyota because Graham Bailey in the Brian Hilton Toyota is in the pits at the moment as well, with steam pouring out from under the engine of the twin-cam Toyota.
But the only thing is that Williamson knows he's got a 3-lap buffer on 2nd place.
If they can fix it, he's right. He got streamers or something caught up on the front, whether it's just tape from some damage there as he passes under the shadow of the Channel 7 helicopter, but going very slowly. Peter Williamson just nursing the car back toward. There's a car on his roof.
There's upside down. And the
driver's still inside the car, out of the car now.
Almost more damage running.
And running for it too.
And you can see his most unhappy man as he turned it over. One of the small cars, number 60, one of the Country Dealer Team cars, Jim Finico and Peter Boston driving that Gemini.
That's the sand trap that Colin Bond said a lot of drivers would have some trouble getting used to.
looking to see if there is another car involved in that. There's a bumper or something.
There's some wreckage on the track. Now, it may be that a couple of cars have hit. There are bits of debris everywhere, wheel flares. Now, whether they've touched and gone down or whether it's all from the one car.
That's about where Colin Bond was standing when we spoke to him about the sand trap situation.
Now, there's a
safer but tricky he's had, and that's a neat trick if you can pull it off. But by gee, they're going to have to move that car. It's in a terrible position.
That's one of the country dealer team.
Oh boy!
With it, by the look of it, it's Kevin Bartlett. He's coming into the pits to try and remove that front spoiler.
Get the can opener out, boys.
So I'd say there has been coming together of Kevin Bartlett and the driver of number 60 from the Gemini dealer team, and Bartlett coming in to have that front spoiler pulled off the front of the car.
Well, that's going to cause him a lot of trouble. You can see in the meantime the Gemini there, it really has hit hard. It's gone into the sand trap. You can see some of the tyre marks behind before the sand undoubtedly slowed it just to put it on its roof. But there's debris lying up the top of the track. There are bits of bumper bars. I'm not sure they all belong to that car because it's a strange mixture of colours and it's a bit hard to pick up where the red and the blue may have come from. But you can see there where Fanico's car really is lying across the track on the way down through the S's. Now, it's just a surmise at the moment, but it looks as though he and Kevin Bartlett may have tangled. Bartlett certainly has come in with body damage.
So there's the sad story as we circulate over the top of the accident scene, and there you can see some of the debris that is on the racetrack. We've already had comments earlier today about debris left on the track.
Kevin Bartlett, by the way, is out on the track again, and the quick lift rescue vehicle, the trucks that have caused so many frights around the track, is now on its way to remove this car because that is a major obstacle.
From the picture there, the car hasn't intruded into the sand at all. It looks like it's clipped the curbing.
Yeah, it's probably clipped the curbing and then Bartlett,
which was built up when the sand trap was put in.
Yes, there's a bit of sand dragged across here. It may just have brought a bit of it. You can see it coming over the side. Now, the message we're getting from people up the top is that he and Kevin Bartlett in the Camaro touched and that KB gave the car a shove. Under what circumstances, we don't know. KB's been in and out of the pits, getting his spoiler taken off. You can see how the front of the car has changed. And that's going to make life very difficult for him because the Camaro, with its great speed, is absolutely dependent for its stability upon that front spoiler. With a smaller spoiler than he actually ran in the race, he was having tremendous troubles keeping the car on the road down the straight. Without the spoiler at all, Kevin Bartlett will just have to back right off, or else he will not be able to control that car at the speeds that the Camaro is capable of. So a coming together between one of the biggest cars in the race, the Chev Camaro of Kevin Bartlett, and one of the smallest cars in the race, the country dealer team Gemini of Jim Fanico and Peter Boston.
All the officials waving the flags. It won't be terribly long before Bartlett comes down past the scene of the accident.
See where they started shedding their metal. Part of that, I think, is Kevin Bartlett's bodywork up there on the top by the different colours. Hard to tell in the afternoon sunlight.
The country dealer team, of course, had trouble with their other entry earlier in the day, big drivers.
And in the pits, Peter Williamson, he's getting a new battery with the messages, and Peter Williamson is in the pits in car 44. While Kevin Bartlett goes past the scene of the action, which he apparently figured so prominently. And now let's watch him down the straight to see whether he does have any handling troubles or not.
On Friday's practice, Bartlett came over one of the humps in Breville Conrod straight in the front of the Camaro, lifted just clean off the ground. It was a most unnerving experience.
White-faced and shaken he was after that.
So whether or not to having no spoiler down there, we'll have to wait and see how it affects the handling. Here he comes down into the braking area. Down through the gears. See, there has been a bit of damage to the front.
We saw Kevin earlier involved at that point in touching one of the Triumph Dolomites that got in his way, and he gave it a couple of little pushes through there. Then the Dolomite turned sideways. He got out of the way, but you can see there the damage is much greater this time. A broken light on the left, the loss of the front spoiler, and the Gemini on its roof up on the top of the track.
Williamson's car still in the pit area. I know they have a couple of laps on the second place driver. But they're doing well in the index of performance and all the other awards, and they want to make sure they're out there and don't really have to race.
Going into this pit stop, they had 4 laps on the car holding down second spot in that class, the chicken entry car 51, Graham Bailey.
They'd like chicken and champagne after the race and not just the feathers. Okay, Bartlett, we're staying on in the 9 Camaro. The car that sat on pole for this race. Good qualifying effort yesterday. Kevin's already banked $9,000.
That pit stop, by the way, has already cost Williamson the lead in the index of performance. The leader there now is the car 35 Capri, Barry Seaton.
It's going to be very, very hard for him to make up, because they've been having a problem with some of the Capris, which of course are larger capacity cars. This Bartlett just going past the scene of the coming together on top of the mount. Nice lines. You can notice how much bigger the car is in comparison to the Commodores and the Fords, which are more of the compact car, although this is considered almost a compact car in the United States.
The index of performance, as we've told you before, it's like a handicap system that brings all the cars onto a level and gives all the cars a chance at a major part of the prize money. And Barry Seaton's Capri car 35 is leading that section at the moment from the 44 Celica of Peter Williamson. But Peter Brock and Jim Richards in 05, the Holden Dealer Team Commodore, they're right in the thick of things there too. 139 is their accumulation of points so far. And then Graham Bailey in car 51, followed by the Bond Masterton Capri, Janson Perkins Commodore, the Brian Wigston Commodore, the Geoghegan Gulson Commodore, the Brown Sampson Commodore, and the Giesler Rogers Commodore. That's in the index of performance.
Kevin Bartlett once again brings the car into the pit, not happy with something, whether it's handling or something more fundamental. The race has 23 laps to go, 39 cars left in the race, but a lot of them on the wrong side of the fence here in pit lane. Peter Williamson is replacing the regulator in his car. Oh, this doesn't look too happy. Is that our girl? It is indeed. It's Susie Ransom, smoking her head off as she nurses the car. Very much a standard model, she pointed out, and one that was put together with a fair degree of haste. And her role now is not just to get the car to the finish, but hopefully to get it back to the pits. In the meantime, Charlie O'Brien, who really has been one of the consistent chargers in racing this year, still running very high up in the field in, what, 3rd place? Goes down Breville Straight. The head-on view over the humps, which can cause such trouble to the aerodynamics of the really high-speed car. You can see there. Those 3 successive humps. Here comes Charlie O'Brien, about to crest the final one into the braking markers. Peter Williamson is going very slowly out of the pits, by the way. In fact, I don't think he's going to leave the pits. As we follow the long view down there, we'll be returning to some of the drama in these closing phases of the Hardie-Ferodo 1000 in just a few moments from now.
Peter Williamson is still in the pits as we watch coming down here car 19 and Sue Ransom, who appeared to be in some little difficulty just before we went for that break, but is still circulating on the track. Gary Cook up ahead of her. And in the pits, Peter Williamson, who came in to replace a regulator and a battery, tried to get it back out on the track, but just couldn't get the power to the ground. They've pushed the car back up to their pit bay. They're working on it. He's still leading his class, 2-litre class, but that's not going to be the case for much longer. He went in with a 4-lap lead in the class. That's run out now to only 1 lap, so he's going to have to get back on the track quickly. Over on the Phillips scoreboard, you can see that 05 has completed 142 laps. That's Jim Richards at the wheel of the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team car, and he's a lap up on car 4, Cadbury Schweppes Commodore, driven by Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. Car 10, 138 laps completed. In third place is Charlie O'Brien, and car 11, Gary Cook, Citizen Watch's Commodore, also going very well, having completed 137 laps. And as we speak, you see they turn up the board for Charlie O'Brien in car 10 to 139 laps. Car 15 has also completed 138 laps, and that's the Re-Car Consolidated Industries entry of Alan Brown and Brian Sampson, also circulating very, very consistently indeed, just ahead of car 16, which is Gary Rogers in the Greater Pacific Finance Commodore.
Well, panning across our Phillips scoreboard, we still see that Brock and Richards in the 05 for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team, holding that 1 lap advantage.
Straight, by the way, as we're just glancing across the Phillips scoreboard, I happened to look up and I saw going up Mountain Straight car 32, the Capri of Masterton Holmes, Steve Masterton and Colin Bond, and definitely it's blowing smoke, so they could be in a little bit of strife.
Yeah, it's been smoking the last lap or so of this race, but they've eased off the pace quite a lot.
There in the green section on the Phillips scoreboard, car 35, you can see the Barry Seaton Capri having completed 136 laps, the leader in that class. Now here's the interesting situation, car 44, Willow's Salika, 129 laps completed, but he's lost an awful lot of time. He's still stuck in the pits, and I think he's about to lose the lead in that class.
Well, they've lost, I think they started off to change the battery, and they've gone now to the alternator.
Yep, well, they're both on the same lap, and I think the Chickadee Chicken Salika, car 51, Graham Bailey, is now the leader in that 2-litre class. And down the bottom of the list, we've got the 1600cc class. That's also a close battle. If we can come back to car 54, just to see what number of laps they've completed. Car 57 has completed 122 laps, and it was a pretty close go between it and well, there you go. 122 laps apiece, and which of the two cars is ahead on the track, we'll check as they come round next time. But very close in the 1600cc class.
There's Sue Ransom, still going. The car's been blowing an awful amount of smoke for the last 3 or 4 laps, but doesn't appear to throw as much around the bottom part of the track. But when she puts the engine under a lot more stress up or trying to climb over the top of the mountain, it has been blowing smoke rather profusely.
Rewiring the alternator in Peter Williamson's Salika, that's what's keeping them in the pits.
Yes, bad luck indeed for Peter. Bo Seaton, of course, has moved up to 8th position outright. Kevin Bartlett is in the pits, and Evan Green is there to talk to him.
Kevin Bartlett's in the pits. Kevin, what happened with the Gemini on the top of the mountain?
Well, poor guy, he did make a wrong move. He signalled me through along the straight, along the top straight, and I went past, was starting to go past him on the right-hand side, and he pulled over straight in front of me. And of course, with our stupid bloody CAMS rules not allowing us to have disc brakes in the back, this thing just doesn't stop. It's bloody dangerous out there without discs. And I just hit him and just rolled him. You know, sure, he made a mistake, but in a normal situation, I should have been able to slow up enough. This car doesn't stop, it slows up. That's the difference. It just eases itself to corners. I got Gary Rogers before. Gary tried to outbrake me, and there's nothing I could do about it. I just had to hit him. So, you know, I've had 2 or 3 incidents, very close shaves, all through the brakes. And it's just the weight of the car and bloody stupid CAMS rules. Thanks, Evan.
Are you going to carry on?
I don't know. Yeah, I will, but I'm going to take it just a little bit easier. I just hope those guys out there know that I just haven't got any brakes. Bugger it, why should I stop racing just because of bloody CAMS stupidity?
I think that's well enough said. Thank you, Evan.
Strong words.
Very strong words. Of course, Kevin Bartlett, along with Ron Dixon, have been pressing for the acceptance by CAMS of the Camaros to be able to use 4-wheel disc brakes as they race in America, but because of some homologation mix-up, goodness knows only why, the Camaros, which have added a new dimension to this race, but to start with a very severe handicap in running not 4-wheel disc brakes. And I think Kevin Bartlett summed it up beautifully. I only hope he has the same response from CAMS that Allan Moffat got from CAMS, and it almost burnt one of the officials here to death one day with a refueling system before the dry brake system. Okay, 0-5, Peter Brock as we follow through back onto Breville Conrod Straight, and he's leading the race with that great edge over Peter Janson, Larry Perkins, Cadbury Schweppes Commodore.
Peter Williamson being pushed round the back of the pits and out of the race, and I would say there's not much time for him to do anything to the car to get it back in either.
Yes, that's bad luck indeed. Really didn't have the great run that he had in the Hardie-Ferodo last year. But anyway, here's a car following Peter Brock that has done very, very well indeed today. That's the number 35 car of Barry Seaton and Don Smith, coming up behind Peter Brock at the moment.
In the 1600cc class, by the way, car 54 and car 57, both on 122, 123 laps now, but it is the 54 car of Terry Finnegan and Peter Dane, the Gemini Isuzu, that is in front on the road in that class. There's somebody that's not in front.
Yes, another one of the wrecks coming in, and this was the car that tipped over on top of the mountain. Kevin Bartlett explained why. And Peter Williamson has returned to the pits. Evan Green has him trackside, so let's cross right now.
Here's an interview we didn't want to hear because Peter Williamson is out of the race. What's the trouble, Peter?
Seems like the wires off the alternator got tangled in the exhaust pipe. We've had an electrical overload all day for some reason, and we've been sort of switching the camera on and off, trying to conserve power, but it seems that the wires of the real cause of the problem could have been the wires burning on the exhaust pipe. I'm not sure that's right, but that's the problem by the look of it. We're finished, I'd say.
It must be an enormous disappointment.
Well, it is, because we work all year to get here, and we've worked pretty hard with John. I feel sorry for John Porter, because we really, we probably can be blamed for some of his failure today over this our wiring.
Now, John Porter is the man who designed and installed the camera equipment which was used here for the first time in the world.
Yes, it's the panning and everything that we hope, but I feel sorry for him more than I feel sorry for me, because there'll be another race, and I just hope we can be part of the action.
Well, I think viewers across Australia will agree that you, Peter Williamson, gave them a fantastic ride around Mount Panorama today, and we're just as sorry as you feel at this moment. Once again, it's back to Mike Ranger.
Thank you, Evan, and thank you, Peter, who climbs from his car and gives us a rather gracious interview. There's more action coming up. Can Peter Brock last the distance? Something's gone wrong with everyone else. Will it go wrong with Peter Brock's Holden Commodore? We'll wait and see. More action upcoming in the Hardie-Ferodo 1000 live from Mount Panorama. Okay, here comes the Ron Dixon, Bob Stevens, Avco Pepsi Cola Camaro into the pits. We might go trackside now to Evan Green for a report.
Ray Cutchy won his class in the Sandown Hang 10 400, but things aren't going quite so well for the driver of car 40. You were third in your class, but 40 up there in the pits doesn't look too good, Ray. What's the problem?
Actually, we've broken a diff. We did a wheel bearing earlier on, and I think let a little bit of oil out, and the diff's packed up. I've got the crew changing the diff now, and we should be back in the race in a few minutes, I hope.
How quickly can they do it?
Oh, we've done about 15 minutes. I've got another diff set up ready to go in, so we should be pretty right, I hope.
So a big effort by Ray Cutchy to keep in the race in the closing stages of the Hardie-Ferodo 1000. Thanks, Ray, and all the best for the rework.
Okay, top of the mountain. All through the cutting, and that's Ron Dixon and Bob Stevens, the Avco Pepsi Camaro, going up the top of the hill. They've been running all day. They've had their problems like Kevin Bartlett trying to stop, but they're still in the race and still giving it a shot. Might check out their current position in standings for you with car number 2 back in about 21st position. So they're a fair way back. Kevin Bartlett, of course, has fought his way up to the top 10 and has got down to 9, then back to 15 and then back to 10 again. So they've had quite a difficult day. There you see the Camaro coming over the top, down into the S's. And for Ron Dixon and Bob Stevens, who have fielded this team, it was quite an enterprise to put together 2 Chevy Camaros, knowing all the handling or all the handicapping problems they would have with the disc brakes. They attempted to get movie actor Paul Newman across to drive with Dick Barber. Newman, of course, drives with Barber in the United States and placed second last year at Le Mans. And he cancelled out at the last moment. And Sam Posey came in, and their second car has also been in and out of the pits, but is still running. 9 of the top 10 cars outright on the road at the moment are Commodores. The odd car out, if I can phrase it that way, is Barry Seaton's victory, car 35, holding down 9th spot outright from the top at 0.5. Robin Richards in the lead, having completed 147 laps, and they're over a lap clear of car 4, the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore, Peter Janson and Larry Perkins. Then car 10, Charlie O'Brien's Commodore, followed by car 21, Geoghegan and Gulson in a Commodore. Then in 5th position, Brown and Sampson at Commodore. 6th position, Giesler and Rogers in a Commodore. 7th position, Cook and Brown in a Commodore, car 11. Then in 8th position, car 6, the Commodore of Grice and Smith. Then 9th position, the Capri of Barry Seaton. And in 10th spot outright at the moment, car 26, Ronnie Wanless from Queensland in a Commodore. Well, it makes you wonder, after the incident that occurred early in the race with Dick Johnson, whether or not Dick would have still been there circulating as nicely as Peter Brock is now. He didn't face, or he didn't have the problem initially that Peter Brock had with a biff. Boy, he finished with something worse than that. Here's the 2 Masterton Capris doing a spot of team driving. I think both have a few problems, and they're limping around, not too far behind each other. Put together by Steve Masterton and Colin Bond, of course, driving with them today. So we follow across the top of the mountain now. We might take a look at the Camaro situation. Bartlett and Forbes, the 9 Network Camaro, are best placed of the 3 Camaros in the race. They're in 12th position with 136 laps completed, more than 10 laps down on the leader Peter Brock in 0.5. Car 2, Dixon and Stevens, the Avco Finance Pepsi Camaro, in 21st position outright, 121 laps completed. And car 12, the second Avco Pepsi Camaro with Dick Barber and Sam Posey, completed only 91 laps. Okay, Evan Green is ready in the pits with one of Joe's favourite people, Charlie O'Brien.
One of the most incredible stories in this year's Hardie-Ferodo has been the progress of Garth Wigston and Charlie O'Brien here. Now, early this morning, you wouldn't have given them 1 chance in a million of doing well, and yet now they're running 3rd in car 10. What happened earlier on, Charlie?
Well, Evan, this morning the emergency stop on the car, which is located in the centre of the car, the wires underneath must have come loose and they shorted out.
That's a special switch to isolate all electrical functions, is it?
Exactly, just in case you're going over the skyline and the accelerator sticks or something, and you can just sort of reach down and cut it off rather than look for the ignition key.
And how many laps did you lose?
We lost 3 laps sitting on the side of the mountain while I tried to have a look for the problem. Luckily, it was about the 3rd thing I went for was the cutout switch, and the wires were burnt out underneath, so just joined them together and got us going back again.
What position were you in when you got going?
It was only after about 6 or 7 laps. I think we were running about 6 or something at the stage.
And you've been gone right back to about 56, I would think.
You wouldn't believe it. You'd think with the reliability of the car now, it's something like a new white road boss, but it's going like a real car should at the moment. Hoping he's going another 15 laps.
And Garth having no problems out there?
No, the car, when I came in about 3 laps ago, it was perfect. You couldn't ask for a better motor car.
The man coming 3rd in the race, Charlie O'Brien.
And of course, in the car at the moment is Tasmania's Garth Wigston, the number 10 car, Roadways car, always one of the best turned out touring cars in Australia. Had its first meeting at Lakeside in Queensland, came down for a meeting at Amaroo Park and was totally competitive against Peter Brock. They had high hopes. They qualified well yesterday, only to have that electrical problem with the kill switch. And just as well Charlie was mechanically inclined, otherwise there might be a few more laps down.
0.5, driven by Jim Richards at the moment for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team, is a lap and 36 seconds ahead of the second place vehicle, and that's car 4. Peter Janson and Larry Perkins in the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. Third place held by that car there on the screen at the moment. The Roadways Deuce Commodore, Charlie O'Brien and Garth Wigston. Garth will at the moment.
Conrod straight. The expect the car still to be able to complete 10 laps in that particular state without finally coming to a stop and seizing the engine.
Looking down Conrod straight as the Masterton Holmes Capris went their way to the bottom, going very fast in a straight line, but not being able to haul in the bigger cars in front of them. Certainly with a drop valve, Colin Bond in car 32 has got his hands full. Being overhauled by the 31 entry on the run into Murray's corner. And as those two cars take the corner and come up pitch straight.
They've been sitting that way for the last 10 laps.
I don't think, I was going to say, I don't think Colin was sitting like that much longer, but with Bondi, you never know, he could keep going. He can nurse a car.
Well, he's doing a great job here today, trying to just finish. Chris Economaki is in the pits as well. We might have a talk to Chris shortly.
See, Sue Ransom has just pulled the CIG entry car 19 into the pits and is out of the car. He's done a great job there.
Well, across to Evan Green for a moment, who has a quick report.
The Garth Wigston car has just come into the pit with some sort of brake trouble. Garth, what's the problem?
I got to the end of the main Conrod, Evan, and put my foot in the brakes and went straight to the floor. And no matter how many times I pumped, we still had no brakes. So it was a case of down the escape road to spin the car to try and stop it. But we've just lifted the front up and had a look, and we punched the piston straight out of the caliper. So what we're going to do is block off the caliper completely on the left-hand side and try and finish the race with just brakes on 3 wheels.
Thank you very much, Garth Wigston. He's going to try and finish this race on 3 wheels. As far as brakes are concerned, running in 3rd place, so it's certainly worth the effort.
Thank you, Evan. We'll take a break and then come back with the closing stages of this year's Hardie-Ferodo 1000 from Bathurst. Of Sue Ramson's CIG entry.
Neville Bridges at the wheel of that car at the moment. Sue Ransom having stepped out on the last pit change. In fact, as for Peter Brock, 0.5, well, Jim Richards at the wheel at 0.5, 9.5 laps to go in this 1980 Hardie-Ferodo 1000.
Well, Chris Economaki is in the pits. Perhaps if you can hear us, Chris, and make a comment or two on your thoughts on this year's race so far in comparison to last year's Hardie-Ferodo.
Chris is there, having just a little...
Yes. Chris Economaki, just mentioning, Chris, your impressions, I know you'll be leaving us shortly, of this year's race in comparison to last year's race. We have a little slight problem there, but we'll be back to that in one moment. Meanwhile, we're following Jim Richards in the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team Commodore. Coming back onto Breville Conrod straight again as the laps tick out. And Peter Brock looks like writing a page in history, the first man ever to win the Hardie-Ferodo Classic 5 times.
9 laps to go for Peter Brock and Jim Richards. They still lead by a lap and then some from car 4, Peter Janson in the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore. And car 21, which we have on screen at the moment, has moved into 3rd place. Now, because of that pit stop we saw just a few minutes ago by Charlie O'Brien in car 10, it's allowed car 21 to move. This is Ian Geoghegan and Paul Gulson. They've travelled so consistently right throughout the day in the Stockton Coin and Bullion Commodore, and they're now in 3rd place ahead of Charlie O'Brien. So it's 0.5. Brock and Richards in the lead, a lap up on Perkins and Janson in car 4, then car 21, Geoghegan and Gulson, followed by car 10, Charlie O'Brien and Garth Wigston.
It's good to see Pete Geoghegan back and running strongly for a finish in the top 3. in this year's Hardie-Ferodo 1000. Coming over the top of the mountain, Geoghegan. Okay, let's see if we can pick up Chris Economaki in the pits.
Mike, I can't get over what a great day it's been from many standpoints. Pluses in every department except for the unfortunate Dick Johnson incident. As someone who does television on a regular basis in the United States, I'm really impressed with the coverage. The helicopter pilot, Terry, has done a fantastic job. The technicians with the in-car cameras deserve certainly some sort of an award for the magnificence with which those units have been working today. And Jeff Healy and Phil Berry and the truck have brought a show to the screen, I think, that are going to rank with one of the classics. All of the interesting episodes that took place today we've had on the show, and that's really remarkable on a track the size of Mount Panorama. I'm really thrilled to be a part of the show, and I hope that the viewers have enjoyed the race. I think we've brought them just about everything that's happened on this circuit today. And the atmosphere is it's a paradox, really. For some people, it's a picnic. For others, it's a very serious motor racing classic, the most important one in all of Australia. And we see people up here that share both views. The picnickers going around looking at the girls and having their drinks and their food, and the others keeping their lap charts and checking their stopwatches. It has all the elements of a great day for a great number of people.
Well, it's been great having you with us, Chris. Don't go away. We'll go down to Evan Green, who I believe has John Harvey ready to have a chat with us.
Well, in cricket, it's called the nervous 90s. In motor racing, it's these last few laps of the Hardie-Ferodo. We had the two lead drivers here for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team. John Harvey, who didn't have the best of luck. I don't know when it's going to be your year, John.
Yeah, well, the engine just broke just at McPhilmy Park there. After I'd taken over the car, done about 6 or 7 laps. Car was running beautiful, the engine was running fine. Just lifted off the throttle and went bang. So obviously some part of the engine's just let go, which is beyond anybody's control in terms of preparation. It's just one of those things, bad luck.
Well, the man alongside you looks like being the first person in the history of this race to have won it 5 times. Peter Brock, and I don't know what's going through his mind, so we'll ask him. How do you feel in these last few laps as they go by, Peter? Because you're about to become possibly the first person in the history of these races, way back to Phillip Island and all, to have won it 5 times. 4 people have won it 4 times. Harry Firth, Bob Jane, your great rival Allan Moffat and yourself. But you've only got a few laps to go. What's going through your mind at the moment?
I'm a bit apprehensive. I'd much prefer to be driving the vehicle. Although when I hopped out of the seat, it was running perfectly. And I said to John, I said, I just got that feeling it's not going to break down. And John said, hang on, I had the same feeling about mine. So, you know, anything can happen. About one lap 162 and a half as it goes past the control tower at the top of the mountain. I'll breathe a sigh of relief because it goes from there.
How much does it mean to you to be the first to win 5 times?
Well, a great deal. It's been a bit of a battle, this particular race. Quite frankly, after I was involved in that incident early on, I thought I'd sort of blown it for 1980. And I assessed the car as I was driving it back to the pits to have a look. I felt the steering wasn't deranged, the water temperature was okay, and all I was worried about was the bodywork hitting the tyre. Then it was a very slow pit stop, and I really lost about 2 minutes, threw us out of schedule, and I had to drive extremely hard the next 40 laps to get that back, and I was lapping in times that really were doing in the A9X last year. So that extended the motor car tremendously, but it came through with flying colours.
How do you feel with Jim Richards in charge over these last few laps?
Oh, no problems there. Jim's very easy on the car, stroking it along. I was looking at the lap times there. He's doing between 2:28 and 2:30, thereabouts. And I know from, you know, he can do 2:25 standing on his ear, no problem. So obviously he's taking it very easily. I wouldn't even bother
7 laps
to sort of pass a message to anyone to tell him how to drive the car. I'm sure Noel feels the same. I mean, Jim's a very cool customer, and we are extremely fortunate having a driver of his calibre stepping in to co-drive the car. The reason he's in it now, as a matter of fact, is because the earlier stint of his was cut short because he had a flat front tyre. So I took over again and went out and did another full session, and I would have extended the 3.5-hour limit had I stayed on board. So we've put Jim in and said, OK, Jim, get a taste of getting a checkered flag. It's brand new for me. I'm here finally to see what it's like with these checkered flags coming down. I've never done it before.
Well, new cars normally don't win at Bathurst. How does the Commodore compare with the well-developed A9X Tirana?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, the car is capable of running in laps, which the A9X will be fairly proud of. 2:22 I did earlier there, and quite a lot of laps of that when I was trying to catch Bryce and Ron Harrop. And considering we've got 332 horsepower in that car, last year we had 390, it says something, volumes really, for the handling and braking and aerodynamics of the car. It really is a very efficient sort of design.
How did you feel when you weren't allowed to run the bigger engine, the bigger valve, the A9X motor that you really wanted to run?
Well, I think that in the first 15 laps you could see what was happening. The Falcon and Camaro were we were no match to them, and we had a full tank of petrol and getting on that big long Conrod straight. So we obviously need that sort of speed to mix it with them. But fortunately for us, they both had problems. Let us back in.
Well, that was Peter Brock, who's the lead driver for the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team, giving a summation of what's happening to Evan Green, who, of course, apart from his Channel 7 television commitments, is also the Director of Public Affairs with General Motors. But very impartial on our telecast. Let's take a look at the Phillips scoreboard now with Gary.
Tells us that 05, Jim Richards at the wheel, has 6.5 laps to go and is the race leader with 156.5 laps completed, and is about a lap and a bit ahead still of car 4, the Peter Janson Cadbury Schweppes entry, holding down second spot at the present time. And you'll see the laps that have been rung up by some of the other cars. Poor old one has expired after 3 laps. That was the Federation Insurance Falcon of Allan Moffat today. Some critical performances, though, as we pan along the Phillips scoreboard by other cars in the open section here. If we swing just a little further to the right, well, there you see car 10, Charlie O'Brien's rung up 151 laps, along with Gary Cook in car 11, the Citizen Watches Commodore. They're both on the same lap. But car 21 is holding down third place, 152 laps completed, and that's the car entered by Stockton Coyne and Bullion, with Pete Geoghegan and Paul Gulson sharing the driving. A very, very solid performance by that pair today, to be holding down third spot at the present time, behind Brock and Richards in 05, and of course Janson and Perkins in car number 4. Getting down into the 3-litre class, you'll find that car 35 is the class leader there. Just a little further across to our right, that's the Capri of Barry Seaton with 149 laps notched up at the present time. Colin Bond in the Masterton Homes 32 entry is holding down second place in the 3-litre class. Moving down into the blue area, which is the 2-litre class, Peter Williamson expired at 129 laps and went no further, and is at the back of the pits and will see no further racing today. And the leader in that class at the present time is car 51, just a little further across to our right, the Chicken Graham Bailey Salika entry with 142 laps on the scoreboard at the present time. And in the 1600cc class, they've been having a really close tussle there, further across to the right-hand side between cars 54 and car 57. Now 54 has completed 134 laps, and so has car 57, and it's a very close go between the two of them on the road, and you'll find that car 54, in fact, on the road is just ahead of 57. A real close tussle between Terry Finnegan's Gemini Isuzu, car 54, and also the Scott Tune Mitsubishi Lancer of Ian Burrell. Very close for the 1600cc class. We'll be back because we're getting down to the finish at the 1980 Hardie-Ferodo 1000 at Bathurst, and we'll be back to see that after this break.
Back here at Mount Panorama at Bathurst, and on screen at the moment, number 54 is Terry Finnegan and Peter Dane. That's the Gemini Isuzu. It's been running so strongly in the small car class here today during the Hardie-Ferodo 1000. Still circulating. Some of the other Geminis haven't fared as well. One, of course, wound up sitting up on top of the mountain upside down. So they've been motoring along quite successfully. Down through the gears, left-hander at the end of Conrod Straight, and then back along pit straight away.
In the meantime, 0-5 of the Holden Dealer Team. Commodore with Jimmy Richards at the wheel is on his 158th lap. So at the conclusion of this lap, he'll have 5 to go.
Here are two of the recar entered cars from Allan Brown. They started the race with 3. The Isuzu just ahead of them, number 15. It's not 15, 57, I'm sorry. Hard to read them upside down when they're going away from you.
It's the Mitsubishi Lancer.
That's what I was speaking about, the two recar entered cars. Allan Brown, who has entered 3 cars in this year's race, has made a very significant contribution to this race in terms of entrance. Got started in motorsport when he was 39 for something to do. Presently, he is placed 4th in the field and would have a grin from ear to ear. Let's hear what Allan says about his late entry into motorsport.
Yes, I started racing when I was 39, got my CAMS licence. I'm now 41. I guess a lot of people would just think of retiring at that age, but I decided I wanted to do it. When I was around about 20, I done a little bit of go-karts for about 12 months. Matter of fact, we used to manufacture them. We had about 15 people on an assembly line type thing, just manufacturing go-karts. That's how I got involved. I'd always wanted to do it, but the business come first. We built the business up. We repaired smashed trucks. We manufacture armoured cars, mobile homes, all this type of thing. You know, advertising is very difficult to advertise because I guess we're like undertakers. We rely on a lot of other people's misfortunes. So I decided I'd go into motor racing and have a bit of a go. As I said before, at 39, we've had a lot of fun. I do it for a lot of fun. There's one thing for sure, if you look at the setup, well, obviously you can't, but I know how Doug Ashton feels for sure. It's like a big circus over there, believe me. I got my own little sauna over there and we try and keep fit and all this sort of thing. And I really enjoy it. It's great stuff.
He really does enjoy it too, and he has the most elaborate setup here at Mount Panorama this year. 2 big mobile homes, a big Pantech, and inside the Pantech his very own private sauna. And there you can see him at the wheel at the moment. He's running in 4th place, and one of his other 3 cars, the one driven by Ronnie Wanless of Queensland, is in the top 10, and that's good for Ron.
Meantime, coming round underneath the Hardie Bridge and over the start-finish line, we've got 0-5, having completed lap 159, which leaves him 4 laps to go.
Yes, there's Allan Brown going back on to Breville Conrod Straight, and that smile will be getting almost ear to ear at this stage. We'll take a break and return for the closing stages of this year's Hardie-Ferodo 1000. Richards in the Marlborough Holden Dealer Team, 05 Commodore. Giving him a race of it, though, was Kevin Bartlett, who's come from behind and passed at the end of Breville Conrod Straight. Jimmy Richards in great shape. Peter Brock waits anxiously from the pits, hoping that nothing will go wrong. Nothing usually goes wrong with Peter Brock's race preparation, it must be said. Always turns out a magnificent car, and a car that will run at the front in the first lap and the final lap. Well, today it wasn't the first lap, but it's certainly running up there near the final lap. I think that Brian Sampson would be very delighted to be up there running so strongly in the race at this moment in 4th place, along with Allan Brown, who we met earlier. Presenting them proudly here today after the bad luck that beset Dick Johnson in the the opening laps of today's race. The battle of the tobacco companies coming up as the Grice entry attempts to pull back a lap that it lost earlier. And we're seeing Jimmy Richards really playing a conserving game. He's allowed Kevin Bartlett to come from behind and stay out of trouble, just let Bartlett go past. And now it's the Grice Craven Mild entry that looms up alongside that Marlborough Commodore. Jim doesn't give him too much of a break. They both, well, hello, the K Power entry is running a bit short of steam, trying to head up the mountain. That's the Jag Parts entry. Yes, a little fogging of the windscreen there, a bit of heavy breathing. Okay, up towards GTX Bend, the right-hander, and here we have them coming up with this great dice, still continuing between Jimmy Richards in 05 and the Alan Grice Craven Mild car. Take a look at the outright slowly for you. Number 5, of course, the leader. Jim Richards at the wheel at the moment, 160 laps completed. In second place is the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore of Peter Janson and Larry Perkins from Victoria on 159. Then comes the Commodore of Pete Geoghegan and Gulson on 156. They're in third place overall. In fourth is the Commodore of Alan Brown and Brian Sampson, the Recar Commodore. In sixth place, Charlie O'Brien and Garth Wigston and the Roadways Deutsch Commodore. In seventh place, we have Fred Geisler and Gary Rogers and another Commodore. It's getting monotonous. In eighth place, of course, the number 6 Commodore. That's Alan Grice and Johnny Smith that are trying at the moment to get unlapped from Jim Richards. In ninth place, overall, is the Alpha Couriers Ford Capri, driven by Barry Seaton and Don Smith.
And the Recar of Ronnie Wantless is in 10th spot.
12th place, the 9 Camaro that sat on pole for today's race. Just look at this little dice continuing, though. We'll let the IBM computer punch up how everyone is placed on 160 laps, or those who have dropped out and the number of laps accredited to. I thought Richards was going to just ease off and let Grice or John Smith past last lap, but as soon as they got up alongside each other, door handle to door handle along pit straightaway, it spurred Jimmy Richards on a little. Johnny Smith is at the wheel, of course, after that problem they had earlier when they wound up in the bunker at the end of Conrod Straight. So Johnny Smith trying to atone a little, I would think, at this stage, and trying to get inside of Jimmy Richards. Won't be too long before these flags come out. Here it comes, the checkered flag for Peter Brock and Jim Richards. Richards at the wheel. A great finish. Peter Brock now makes it 5 Hardie-Ferodo successes. And a tremendous driving piece by Jimmy Richards, who, of course, rode out the last part of the race for Peter Brock. The first time ever that Peter Brock has been accredited a winner and watched on from the pit area while his co-driver finished. Second place overall as the rest of the cars come into finish now. We'll go to Peter Janson and Larry Perkins in the Cadbury Schweppes Commodore.
Entry. Yep. Third place, Pete Geoghegan.
Isn't that
car 21. That is great to see. Pete Geoghegan and Paul Gulson in the Stockton Coin and Bullion Commodore entry will take out third place. Fourth spot to car 15, another Commodore. This one entered by Recar, Alan Brown and Brian Sampson.